Dallas fans, what's up? It's your boy Ruben. It's been a minute since we've been able to get up, and a big part of that is because you know how it is. We don't really play in free agency like that. We have made some moves in terms of restructuring some players like Dak and Tyron Smith. I believe DeMarcus Lawrence also got restructuring. We were able to bring Leighton Vander Esch back, which I think is a low key big move. I can't believe people weren't lined up to sign him, but then again, they left Bobby Wagner out there like that too. So I think the market for middle linebackers has really softened these days. But the fact that we were able to bring Leighton Vander Esch back thrills me because I still think he has room to grow. He's still relatively young. The only issue with him is injuries, of course, and we didn't have to break the bank to get him. So we're bringing the band back together, and on top of that, we made the move of trading for Stephon Gilmore. The reason this is huge, and if you're a Dallas fan, you don't need me to tell you why this is huge. But I'm going to tell you anyway. The reason this is huge is because I really feel like it solidifies one or two holes for us. The other hole, they're probably going to try to, work out in the draft or, some supplemental pieces. It's not a hole that we need plugged by, like, let's say a star player. So for instance, the hole I'm speaking of is on the D line in the interior. We weren't the greatest team stuffing the run, and some of that can be attributed to we're a little lacking with the big uglies at the defensive tackle spot. Odigizua is pretty good. No complaints there. He's not particularly a star, but he's pretty steady. Again, no complaints there, but we could still use an upgrade. But the other spot on the defense is the other corner position. We went and got Stephon Gilmore. It's huge. We were bleeding in that other position. And when Anthony Brown went down, we were just rotating people. Now, we did have Deron Bland to show some potential, which has me hyped because now we have not only veteran presence, but we also have what I would like to call jars on the shelf, guys that can get better. Because we do have younger corners. I don't know what this means for Jordan Lewis, but now corners of strength and we're deep because we're still returning Anthony Brown, I believe, and ultimately having Stephon Gilmore as our second corner is huge. He's not the Stephon Gilmore that was blanking guys back in New England when he won Defensive Player of the Year, but we don't need him to be. We have Trayvon Diggs as our ace, and not only that, but Stephon Gilmore can really put Trayvon Diggs up on game on how to really kind of trim the fat to his game. Because a lot of Trayvon Diggs' game was cluing and taking gambles and whatnot, which you want your corners to do in a heavy zone scheme that we run. But he was susceptible to double moves, and he used to 2 seasons ago. He was giving up a lot of yards. What a lot of people weren't giving him credit for was he had a big-time season this year, albeit lesser interceptions, but he was much more steady in terms of sticking with the receiver. He still was getting had little bit, not like the year before. He was still susceptible to the double move, but he cleaned up a lot. This move, I think, helps Trayvon Diggs reach the next level, and then on top of that, it gives us a solid corner, and the fact that he doesn't have to bear so much responsibility. If he has a career resurgence, this is gonna be a dominant unit. So I'm hype about that. Now, on the offensive side, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Last year I was hoping we would get OBJ. I thought we were missing. While CeeDee Lamb's good, I thought we were missing the X receiver, the guy that threatened to take the top off the field, which I thought OBJ would be able to help us with, which I thought Michael Gallup would be able to help us with, but he looked to have lost some burst coming off the ACL injury. And then obviously OBJ coming off an ACL injury, it's a big gamble. Hearing that, he's griping about money, and money is not exactly a thing for us that we're wanting to shell out right now. So we made the big move for Brandon Cooks. Big move may be too strong, small, but big move. Brandon Cooks is a walking 1,000 yards, okay? Walking 1,000 yards. He's one of the fastest receivers in the league still now. I mean, again, he doesn't have anything on Tyreek Hill, but speed is what the guy has to burn for ages. Okay, now that helps. That is exactly what we were missing and should open things up for CeeDee Lamb to be even more efficient. And if Michael Gallup can return to form, it's going to make us that much more formidable. When we lost Tony Pollard in the playoff game, I absolutely knew we were going to lose that game because we lacked the ability outside of Tony Pollard to make explosive plays. And it made us predictable. It made us everybody knew we were going to dink and dunk and stick routes, and some of that was on Kellen Moore. He became predictable, but some of that is he's just a chef cooking with the ingredients he was given. So, with that being said, when we lost Amari Cooper, that's basically what we lost was the over-the-top, big-time X receiver. Now, what concerns me with Brandon Cooks is he's a smallish receiver. He still can take the top off, but he's not exactly the big-time X receiver we wanted. But he's going to work out just enough. CeeDee Lamb is going to be the guy that we want to make the bigger plays. But Brandon Cooks is going to be the guy that's going to help open things up. And all Michael Gallup has to do is just help return to form. So big moves there. Now, one gripe that I'm going to state is I don't love some of the restructurings we've done. And those of you that are unfamiliar with restructuring, it's a good way to come up with cap space in the near term, right? So we were up against it, but we ended up restructuring contracts. And in order to restructure, you have to have players that have multiple years on their deals. And what you do is you convert this year's salary into a signing bonus. They agree, but and it lowers their cap number for this year, but you're essentially kicking that cap number into next year as a result of it. And so with where this becomes problematic is we got to pay a lot of people, and you can kind of see the writing on the wall where some decisions are going to have to be made. One of the people we restructured was Dak Prescott. Going into next season, I believe his cap number is going to be like over $50 million as a result of the restructure. And he's going into the last year of his deal next season. So the reason that's concerning is because we're either going to have to decide to extend Dak, or we're going to have to eat the $50 million next year. And where that's problematic, just to keep him on the team. Even if you cut him, like the $50 million is going to be guaranteed. So that is a number that's going to go against the cap. And the reason it's problematic, in case I wasn't making it clear, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, is we got to pay CD. We got to pay Trey. We got to pay CD. We got to pay Trayvon. We got to pay. We're still working on Pollard, Trayvon, CD, and then the big one, Micah Parsons. Now Michael Parsons is going to be moving into year 3, so you got maybe an extra year to work with on Micah. But Micah's going to want his deal earlier rather than later. I don't think you want to move into he's a guy you're not going to want to move into the 5th-year option. He might take that personally. A lot of players these days, if you make them get into their 5th year or wait till after the 4th year, they like to not give you the discounts because they're offended that you let them get that far. So that's where it can kind of be problematic, particularly, again, the Dak Prescott contract and cap number. And if you guys remember, I kind of fell out of love with Dak this year. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I hope he bounces back. I mean, because we might not have a choice. We might be riding or dying with Dak. And, I mean, he's still my dog. That's my quarterback. It is what it is. I'm going to support him. But, he doesn't hold the place in my heart that he used to after last season. I really just haven't seen the Dak Prescott that I fell in love with in particular since the horrific ankle injury. He's not as mobile, and it's affected a lot of other things because he was never the greatest pure thrower of the football. But when he lost his athleticism, that was the thing that made him special in combination with his leadership. So you got the leadership, but then you don't have the athleticism, and then now you're kind of relying on an arm that wasn't, quite up to snuff. It was the whole package that made Dak as special as he was, and now he's missing a part of that, and he's overcompensating, and now you see the interceptions. Plus, the injuries are starting to mount up. And so, I mean, that's where I'm at with it. We lost Zeke. And, you know, I'm sad to see him go. I'm mad that I can't do this anymore. Maybe Tony Pollard will throw one in the air for him, and we'll get to relive that for a little bit. Hopefully Zeke doesn't go to Philly. But the writing was on the wall for Zeke. He did well. I thought he was one of the best, if not the best, running back in the league for 3 years. He got his contract, and then unfortunately his play tailed off. He was still great in short yardage for us, still getting, you know, like double-digit touchdowns and whatnot. But the guy was just running with a piano on his back at this point in his career, and you know, at 19 million, we gotta let him go. And maybe there's a chance he comes back, but for as a glorified fullback, we couldn't justify paying him what we were paying him. And then we got the draft coming in. I don't know. It depends on what happens and how the draft plays out, guys. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know, where you think the Cowboys are headed. Do you think this is the year? Did we make enough moves? What do y'all want to, see in the draft? I just really hope we figure out how to plug the middle of the defense up. And I think that's the only thing stopping us from being a unstoppable defense. But that's my thoughts. So don't let like a Jalen Carter fall to Dallas. I seriously doubt it happens, but you never know. Let me know what y'all think. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Peace.